All right, today I'm going to illustrate a problem that I keep running into and that I think other people keep running into, or at least I am seeing people talk about this on Discord and a few other places, which is the take recorder and how it interacts with LiveLink. So I want to show you an example of what often goes wrong. Pull up the sequencer. So I have take recorder up on the side. Nothing's recording right now. I have a camera, which I'm controlling with this motion controller. And I've dragged the camera in here to be recorded by take recorder. And one of the things that I see a lot of people doing is here you have an option of setting this to spawnable or possessable. And there's like weird consequences to each one. And I want to quickly illustrate both. But what we're going to do is actually like break down the different ways you could set this up and kind of methodically go through them. And I actually created a spreadsheet here, which we're going to use to like analyze what happens in all these scenarios. So this might take a while, but I think it'll be worth it. So what? Let's give an example. So I'm gonna hit play, and I'm moving this like I'm filming a camera, and then I'm gonna start the take recorder. 2, 1. Okay, so I'm gonna like, this person's talking, hey, you're super cool. I know I am. You're pretty cool too. Thanks a lot. We're both pretty cool people. And oh, stop. There we go. So let's, if you press this button after taking a take, it pulls the take back in to the sequencer to review it, and we can review it here. Now, well, I want to watch what happens. Like, notice that this is still bound to the camera. And I set this to possessable, meaning when this plays, what it should do is control the camera that's in the scene. And I'm even going to make sure we're looking out the right one by locking to the viewport. Now let me just hit play. Notice it's actually following this camera still. Like, I can look at the ground. It's not doing what we just recorded. But if I were to go into LiveLink for a second and uncheck this controller, which was what I was using to drive it, and then I go back here, notice it now is following what I recorded. And the root of the problem, from what I understand, is that when this sequencer is playing back, the game is running, meaning all the inputs are wired up, and it turns out that this input is just overriding the keyframes in sequencer. So you might think, okay, let me try, you know, you're gonna start stumbling around with settings now. So you might come in here and you go, okay, well, I'll just set this to spawnable. And what that will do is when you play back in sequencer, it will spawn its own actors. And from there, you're wired up to the actors that are already in the scene, not the actors that it spawns. So it should work. Let's give that a try. Okay, I'm gonna hit play and record. Hey, I'm mad now because sequencer is not working. Me too. All right, that's enough. And play back. Now notice I'm still controlling this camera, but as sequencer plays, I think there's actually going to be another camera. I set this as spawnable, right? Yeah, so let's have a look. Oh, so actually no, I'm still controlling this even though I set it to spawnable. Oh, I think I know why. Okay, so this has to do with how I set things up a little bit. Under here, I put record parent hierarchy, and I actually have a blueprint that's the parent actor of the camera. So I didn't customize the camera at all to hook it up to LiveLink. I made a parent actor which hooks up to LiveLink and then takes its like the child node and controls it. So what I'm going to do here is uncheck record parent hierarchy. Try one more time. There we go. And I forgot to hit play, but I think for this example it won't make a difference. Okay, now let's play this one back. And notice now there's actually fewer things over on this side. So let me view this camera, and I'll click out of here. So indeed, I'm not touching the controller now. This is the recorded keyframes. But the part I want to mention is now we have two cameras. So this one is the one I'm controlling, and the other camera is the one coming out of sequencer. Whoops, let me unclick that. Where are the cameras? Oh, here. So notice that this is controlled by sequencer and this is controlled by me. And for this example, the cameras don't show up when I'm like actually playing things back. So the double spawning isn't really a problem, but as the scene gets more complex, the double spawning is likely to cause some errors. So what I actually want to do, going back to this this spreadsheet, is go through every one of these scenarios and then mark what is happening. So let me just explain it. So this column means how am I recording the target. Actually, I'm going to change that to camera. So this column will indicate whether in take recorder over here I'm recording the camera and whether I set it to spawnable or possessable. And I'm specifically going to uncheck this record parent hierarchy every time because I'm going to separately add the controller. The controller goes here. Wait. I got to click back. The controller will go here. And I'm also going to uncheck this. So we're going to separately control these. And then last thing is you can also import a LiveLink source. Import from LiveLink controller. So if I show you all these things, these are the three things that we're going to be working with. And so the first example would be set them both to Posessable and record LiveLink. And then the results are, one, is sequencer controlling the motions I see, or is my controller controlling it? And two, is there a duplicate spawned? And what we're really looking for is a scenario where this is like, yes, it's being controlled, and no, there's no duplicate spawned. So we're going to try all of these. All right, let's just get to it. Now, actually, before that, why don't I quickly talk about how I'm setting up the controller? In fact, let me make a new blueprint controller that's going to do that. So I'm actually going to take this out. Yes. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And I'm going to create a new blueprint controller just so everyone can see how I'm hooking up LiveLink to this. It's going to be a pawn because I want it to receive input. I'm not sure that matters for LiveLink, but I'm going to make it a pawn subclass. And this will be, let's just give it a name, LiveLink camera controller. Perfect. Open it. All right, so what we're going to do is edit this in the event graph. Now, the way I'm going to compose this is a little funny. So let me add this to the scene. And then I'm actually going to, so this is our controller that we're about to set up. I'm going to make the camera a child of it. Now, in some situations, what you do is you adjust the position of the LiveLink controller to move. I'm actually going to use the controller to adjust the camera's position directly. I'm not sure if this is the root cause of my problems or not, but I'm gonna do that. So what I'm gonna do is event begin play. I want to make sure that I'm looking out of this camera when the gameplay starts. So what I have to do is get controller, and then there's this view target with blend or something. Get controller. Oh, get player controller. This is what I want here. And then with blend. So set view target with blend is what you use to change cameras. And this is just going to ensure that we're using the camera that's parented to this. How do I get a hold of a reference to that? There's a couple ways to do it. One of which is I could add a variable in here and then set it directly. I'm going to try another one that I think is a convenience method, but I don't know if this is how you really want to do things. I'm going to get attached actors, and attached actors will give me anything that's like a child in this world outliner. And then this is going to give me a list of things. I know I only have one, so I'm just going to say get the first one. And then I know it's a camera, so I can cast it to a cine camera. And then that becomes this target here. So what I should really do is wire this to here and then this to here. And it's not going to fail because I know that it works. And then the last thing is auto possess. I want to auto possess this pawn so that my everything, like when I press play. So I think, okay, yeah, and nothing's moving because I haven't wired it up yet. Let's tilt this camera slightly and just make sure we are indeed looking out of this camera. So there. So if I hit play, hey, look. Okay, that part works. Now what we need to do is wire up the controller piece. And for that, I'm going to add a LiveLink. Okay, so this is weird. LiveLink controller works, but LiveLink controller will just sort of automatically do a bunch of stuff. And this LiveLink skeletal animation, if you look in the documentation right now, it doesn't mention LiveLink controller and it doesn't mention LiveLink skeletal animation. It just mentions LiveLink. Near as I can tell, this one is what the documentation is referring to. So what we have to do here is this represents the LiveLink to like all of LiveLink and not just one controller. So if you had multiple things, you can, I think, use this. But I want to add an event here, which is on LiveLink update. And then the secret sauce from here is, what is it called? Evaluate LiveLink frame. And here I can either programmatically pick, or I'm just going to pick the controller. You can also loop through all of these by like get LiveLink subjects, and then like this will be an array, so you could for each. And then in here, I think you can split this. And then I think this would actually, or maybe not. Let's recombine it. Would this fit in here? Subject name? There we go. So if you wanted to iterate over all of the LiveLink components that you found, like say you had multiple controllers and a headset, you can grab them all, loop over them, and then evaluate the position on each of them. So one thing that I have learned is important is setting this here determines what this data result looks like. So I'll give you an example. Like if I look at this frame data, and then and this is transform, but if I change this to like a camera roll, then this frame data I think looks different. Yeah, so it looks different. It's got like field of view and depth of field and stuff like that. So transform seems to be the right one. It works for me, and I want to grab the frame data out here, specifically the transform. I don't need this because I'm just going to set the subject directly to controller. And then this event is kind of taking place of the like on tick event. This I think just happens when there's data to be sent. And then what I'm going to do is copy this code, and I'm going to use the same technique to get the camera. And in here I'm going to set relative transform. Set actor relative transform. There we go. And then split this again, and I'm going to just pipe these directly in. So I'm getting the location of the controller and the rotation, piping it straight in. So I believe this should all work. Let's just give it a try. Oh, it's already working. I forgot it works. Yeah, camera's pointed in the wrong way because the this thing's pointed in the wrong way. So let's turn it. And then I'm just going to roughly frame it so I don't have to like contort my body. Okay, So that's how I've set up this camera. Just to review, the blueprint class that I created has a little bit of setup code to point the camera to make sure I'm using the right camera. And then this is just kind of the rawest LiveLink blueprints programming you could do. Obviously, if your game gets more complex or your movie or whatever, you'd probably want to organize this. All right. So rewinding, we're a tape recorder. I've got the LiveLink thing to record in here, and I'm going to record these two items separately. And in here, I'm going to uncheck parent hierarchy and uncheck, uncheck parent hierarchy. Now, one last thing, and I learned this is so important, is you have to uncheck use source timecode. It just doesn't seem to work if you have this checked. And my guess is that this is saying use the timecode emitted from Vive, and that's messing things up, because when it gets to sequencer, it doesn't put it where it needs to go, because I think it just has a 0 timecode, because Vive, I don't think hooks in, it doesn't generate timecode near as I can tell. So that's super important. So I was having problems until I unclicked that. Anyway, let's give this a try. So we want to set both of these things to Posessable and have LiveLink recorded. So let's set this to Posessable and Posessable. And in every one of these examples, I am going to press play, because even though you can record without it play, I think it just there's so many more situations where you want the game playing. All right, play and then record. All right, just looking at the two actors back and forth, and then stop. All right, so let's go review and see what happens. So I'm going to press lock to viewport and then press play. And indeed, look, this is I'm not controlling it here. It's controlling it by itself. So this is exactly what we want. I'm going to unlock to viewport and just check that there's not a duplicate camera being spawned. Oh, I guess I have to just do this. So this is cool. So let's go fill that in. Controlled, yes, and duplicate, no. This is the one we want. I think we just cut to the finish line. I'm still going to go through the rest just to better understand what's happening. One thing I want to note though is if you look here, this helps explain why this is happening. Let me notice that there's this new source here called sequence LiveLink, and also notice that this is checked instead of this. If I check this, now this is what's being controlled, but if I check this, it's sequencer, which is controlling it. And this seems to be the secret of to why it works, is there's some code somewhere in sequencer that's flipping this LiveLink switch back and forth. So it seemed to, I don't know what I touched, but I think I broke it. So let's unload and reload. And then, yeah. Great. So if you render this out now, and in fact, let me go to movie render queue, and this was scene 204. I'm going to just try and render this, because this is the ultimate test. So this should not render my controller. So my controller is still right now. That is the correct render right there. Oh, sorry. You saw a render of an old scene, but the second one that popped up was still correct. Great. Well, I mean, we could call it here, but let's keep going. So if you're just looking for the answer, there's the answer. Use Spawnable, or use Posessable, but record. Make sure LiveLink is recorded. All right. What is the next one we would want to check out? These two, but without LiveLink. So let's try that. I think I can just switch this to off. We'll see. So let's do a recording. I love this countdown. It makes it feel so official. All right. Let's pop this back open and bind to the camera viewport. Oh, nope. So the camera is still being controlled by my controller. In fact, I think if we take this off and I back up, we'll even see that being true. So notice this isn't moving anything, it's this. And if we go over to LiveLink, because I didn't record a LiveLink source, there's no alternative LiveLink stream in here. So great. Controlled, no. Duplicate, no. So if you are recording LiveLink, it's important to have the LiveLink source. But we're gonna find out. Is there a situation where like you don't need that? Okay, so let's just burn through these. What's the next one? Possessable, record the camera, and don't record the controller. Now, the reason in my situation this might be interesting is the controller is the LiveLink aware component. So remember, this is a camera with no modifications. So I have it set to Possessable, and I say don't record the parent. Okay, let's hit play, record. So hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye, done. Let's play this back. And let's view from the point of view of the camera. And no. And that doesn't surprise me because let's look. I'm possessing this camera in the sequencer, but I'm still possessed underneath of the controller, which is live linked. So that is not a surprise. We want to stop this. Okay. And then we want to check if there's a duplicate. So I don't think there is. Oh, don't bind to viewport. I want to just look at this camera and see. Yeah, there's no duplicate. So controlled no, duplicate no. All right. Well, so you don't want to use these. These are ones you wouldn't want to use. Next, what do we have? Let's set them both to spawnable and include LiveLink again. So on spawnable, spawnable, and spawnable. And I should note, so I included these separately and took off record parent hierarchy. If you just included this and included record parent hierarchy, it should be the same as what I'm doing right now. The reason why I separated them is I wanted to also test making the spawnable versus possessable different in the two cases. So if you're like, well, do I always have to uncheck this? Probably not if you're setting it always to be spawnable or possessable. All right, let's press play, record. And, oh, that's some harsh shadows you got there. Someone should probably fix the lighting. Alrighty, let's head back, view from the camera, and hit play. So I'm not touching the controller. This is the recorded motion. So that's exactly what we wanted. But I am going to pull away from here and then check if there's two cameras. Huh. I actually expected two cameras, so why? There are, but like there are two cameras. They're right here. Oh, I know what's going on. So there are two cameras in the scene, and they both have a LiveLink controller attached to them. But since the LiveLink input got switched, neither of them are wired to my controller anymore. So you can see they're both here. They're just moving exactly in sync. But watch what happens if I were to take this one and change its like position. So see, there's two cameras. All right, so let's go back. Controlled, yes. Duplicate, yes. All right, that might not be a problem, but it, like that's a very subtle problem to have if it comes up. All right, now we want to turn off LiveLink and leave the rest as spawnable. And I think, okay, anyone want to guess? I'm guessing that this will be controllable no and duplicate yes. because I think that the LiveLink input, so this will spawn two things, and the controller is looking for a LiveLink input, which because of this hasn't been switched. So I'm gonna guess this is a no yes. That's like the worst scenario. So let's have a look. This should be here. Okay. Something, I don't know what went wrong. All right. Oop, I forgot to hit play. Ooh, it did not like me clicking play in the middle of clicking record. Okay. All right, so hit play, and we're gonna record. And stop. Now let's play it back and go from the camera's point of view. So it is indeed this, see? And it's not being controlled here. But even worse, stop. Man, whatever I did by clicking play after record, it really upset the Unreal Engine. Even worse, I think we have duplicates again because... Wait, do we not? Oh yeah, we do, see? So there's two cameras in the scene. And if I were to click this one and move its X position, you can see there's two cameras. So let's unload this scene and go back to the spreadsheet, and yes, this is converted. It's not controlled, like the playback isn't controlled by the sequencer. Does this make this clearer, maybe? Duplicate actors. I think that might make it clear. All right. So last one is just spawn the camera. Oh, and remember, it's a plain camera. I haven't configured it in any way. Just spawn the camera, but not the controller. And I think this is going to be an interesting one. My guess is that it will work, but there will be two cameras. Let's have a look. And indeed, this controller is not controlling it. And so the camera appears here. So there's the two cameras right here. I believe this is the one. Yeah, I believe this is the one we're looking at right now. See? Like if I just click this and scrub, yep. So that's the camera that got spawned by this. But because it didn't spawn a controller, this is not wired up to LiveLink, and thus the keyframes, like in here, are taking precedence because there's nothing else competing with it. So let's go back, and yes, it's controlled by sequencer, but I believe, yeah, see there, two cameras. One is this, one is the one controlled by sequencer, and if I hit unload the sequence, it will disappear. So yes, there's duplicate actors. All right, now we're gonna get into the like weird scenarios. And let's even flip these. So I'm adding more. I just want to see. Okay, so camera possessable. So everything's on. The camera set to possessable. The controller set to spawnable. Oh my god. So I think what's going to happen is because the camera is spawnable, right? Or sorry, the camera's possessable. There's only going to be one camera in the scene. There will be two controllers, but the second controller won't be wired up to anything. So this is going to be the same as if this was possessable. So what was that? This would be the same as this one. So I think it's going to be yes and like no with an asterisk because there's a duplicate controller but not a duplicate camera. So I'm going to put my guess here, and I'm going to put no with an asterisk. And I just noticed these are not the same font size. Or are they? There. Okay, so this is my prediction. Ready? Play. Stop. And, okay, so I'm going to view from the camera. And indeed. So what is happening? Yeah, there we go. Indeed, there is a... oh, this is really interesting. Look at this. So the spawned controller takes ownership of the camera. That's what this little lightning bolt means. Oh, that's super interesting. So if I'm off here, this is the controller. And then if I pop into here, like notice the highlighted one is no longer the owner of the camera. That and I bet if you go to here, yeah, the LiveLink source has changed. That's why this is not having a problem. That's weird. I don't think you'd want to do this, but let's make a note of it. So no, and then we'll put notes here. Notes. A duplicate controller is spawned, and it takes ownership of the possessable camera actor. That's very strange. Now remember, I wrote code in here that says get 0. So this code on so there's two controllers, but one of them doesn't have a child. So this will actually fail, and the cast will fail in this one. So it may even generate a warning depending on how you use it. All right, that was super interesting. Okay, next one is this, but no LiveLink. Let's turn that off. And okay, what do we think is going to happen? So let's see. Camera's possessed. The controller is spawnable. We know the new controller is going to take ownership of this. So I'm going to say that no duplicate with the asterisks, and no, because I think the controller will be wired to this one. So let's have a look. I need to flip that back to here. Record. All right, let's look around. Stop. And then playback. Let's view from the viewport. Oh, look, it's still using my controller. So exactly what we thought. And then also we should have a look if there's a duplicate. Well, there's the duplicate controller. And the controller, same as this. So I'm going to put like, this would be like a footnote here. Like maybe there, yeah. So, and then maybe we should wrap this so it's easier to read. And then just some formatting. There we go. The footnote is right there. All right, now next one is a spawnable camera. Now I recognize this is like a weird scenario that you probably wouldn't want to do, but maybe we'll discover something neat like in the previous one. Okay, so again, the controller is possessable. There's only going to be one controller. The camera gets spawned, so I'm expecting two cameras, but based on the way I've set up my code, I'm only grabbing one camera. Let's just leave it as is, and then maybe do a loop back and mess with the code. All right, so hit play. Oh man, I should make up dialogue for this, but I'm like, I can't anymore. All right, so let's play. And this is indeed working because we're recording LiveLink. But let's have a look at here and notice it's exactly what we said. There's two cameras. Now the spawned camera, because this is the first child, that is what this is going to return. I guess I can stop. That's what this is going to return. So I actually think the spawned camera is ignored entirely. Like, would we want to do anything with that? Like, would we want to loop through it? Well, one interesting thing is with the spawned camera, I bet you only one of these will look like it's moving. Yeah, see, you can see there's two cameras there. And you know why? It's because this is only feeding, this is the updates from LiveLink, you know, either the controller or the pre-recorded sequence, and only the first child is getting the updates. So again, see? Now watch what happens if I convert this to like a for each loop. I'm gonna go for each child. And let's put that in there now. And then the loop body will be, so we're gonna now take every camera in here, cast it to an actor, and try to update it. And I bet you that will make the two cameras go away because, you know, now they're completely in sync. So fun little hack. All right. So what was this? Controlled by sequencer, yes. Anytime LiveLink is checked, I think controlled by sequencer is yes. And then duplicate, yes. I'll put a double star, and then double star will be a single controller owns both cameras. There we go. All right, last one. Turn off LiveLink. So place your bets at home. What you think's going to happen? I think what is going to happen is because the controller is there and there's no LiveLink, I think it's going to be no and yes with 2 stars. That's my guess. So let's give it a try. Last one. Oop. Sorry, we have to stop because LiveLink was set incorrectly. Look at all these extra sources that are, I'm gonna get rid of them just to clean up and hope that doesn't bork my tests. Right. All right. Okay, so let's replay it, fix the camera, play. Oh, look, it's still using my controller. It's not pulling from there. And indeed, look, one controller, which is reading from mine, and then it's updating all the cameras. And in fact, let's go back here and only take the first one. Let's like go back to the old code. So delete that, get one. And now I think what's gonna happen is this playback. Okay, this playback's using this. I wanna record. No, go back. Oh, so I was thinking what might happen is that the camera wouldn't move at all because the controller wasn't updated it, but the sequencer always spawns as the first camera, which is the one I was grabbing here. I was thinking maybe it would spawn as the second camera and then essentially not move at all. But this is the camera that we've got already in the scene. All right, so going back, let's do a quick summary. So I'm gonna mark all the ones that are good with green. So green. That one can be green. So this is the best scenario where when you play back, sequencer controls things, but there's no duplicate actors. Now let's go for acceptable, which is that sequencer controls things. And I'm going to mark, but there's duplicates, and you might not care. It might not matter. I'm going to mark those as yellow. And then everything else I will mark as red because sequencer just doesn't control it at all. So let's see. So yeah, if basically, look, it mostly matters if you're using record live link. That seems to be the key. And going back, just to remind everyone, turn off use source timecode unless you have actual timecode coming out of your Vive system, which I don't. Mine certainly doesn't, because watch what happens if I turn this on. So this is what's the first scenario we want? Possessable. I'm going to use this scenario, but with the source code button on. So possessable, play. And then let's review it. What do you notice happens? Nothing moves, not even this. Oh, wait. Yeah, so why did this not work when I turned source timecode, use source timecode? It's this scenario. It should have worked. The problem, from what I can tell, is that it squishes this LiveLink thing into literally like 0 seconds. So what I think is happening is that the time code that there's probably no time code coming out of Vive, which when that is checked, it gets interpreted as just 0 all the time. So it just compresses to the 0th position. Or something like that. That's why this isn't being stretched out here. And again, you just tick that off. And why didn't this work? Play. I think the last one did work. I just was looking through the wrong camera. All right, there we go. Play back. And now notice, oh, look, it is indeed, like, the time code is indeed there. It seems to be shifted by 1 frame or something. No idea why, but there you go. So I will post, I'll post a link to this spreadsheet somewhere in case people are interested in it. I'll probably put a link in the description of the video. And then, yeah, this certainly was helpful for me, and I hope it's helpful for other people.